TV appearances, including the Discovery Channel, the National Geographic Channel, and BBC. Professor Nayak is also the national president of the Federation of Indian Rationalist Association. So please, welcome.
Thank you. Fellow humanists, well, I'm from India, the land of the mystical, the magical, and whatnot. With people having supernatural powers, who have been living since thousands of years, who have been sitting and meditating in the Himalayas and discovering all the secrets of life. Among them was this guy, whom you can see there. His name is Satyanarayana Raju, but he calls himself Satya Sai Baba, because in India, you know, once you become a Swami or a Guru, you need to change your name, because you're totally different after this. You get away from your family, or that's what you're supposed to anyway. So Satyanarayana Raju became Satya Sai Baba and became one of the most famous miracle men in this world. Yes, doing so many miracles that people would flock from all over the world to see this guy. And he has made billions of dollars, not just billions of rupees, because he just died 2 months back, and when they started looking up the rooms which he had locked, they found tons of gold, silver, diamonds, currency notes, and so many other things. His signature miracle was the distribution of what he calls as vibhuti. I do not know whether you come across this term, but to an Indian, this stuff is pretty holy. It can cure all diseases, it can cure your problems, it can give children to those who do not have children, and everything else. And how does he do that? By just magically waving his empty hands in the air, like I do. I take my hands in the air like this, and I bring it down, there I get magically. Please take it. And then come to my ashram in India, where I give a lot of water.
How we can switch off the water because there's no chance to
Don't
see.
we have to give you money in the other hand?
Don't you think so?
Should I be checking my wallet now?
Yeah, better than you know. I'm a modern guru, I accept credit cards too. So here it is. Yeah, I don't want to miss out anybody. And you cannot give it to anybody else. You have to take it from my hands alone. So now what do I do with it? When I ordered from heaven, I didn't know that there were so few people going to the home. So what do I do with all the extra ones which I got from heaven? Oh, here it goes. Here it goes. Yes, it keeps on coming. Yes, it's got a unique smell, the same one which he gives. Somebody asked me once, oh, how does it smell the same? I said, we buy it from the same shop. He buys it in tons, we just buy it in kilograms. Right. But it's a very, very profitable business, this movie business. Because not only that he gives it, it's also sold. It costs, when he buys it, or maybe 10 rupees, that's about 1 krona per kilogram. But when he sells it, it goes for 2 kroner for 100 grams. So what a profitable business. Far more than what Monsanto and others multinationals can do. Now, why do you just watch this video footage and you'll be just wondering it? Thousands of people who just come to see him and take this very stupid ash. Just watch it. This was from BBC.
By magically producing holy ash and scattering it on the crowd.
If you compress the ash, then you can make such tablets. Such a tablet can be hidden in the hand, and one can move the hand without losing the tablet. Here one sees the pill of ash between his fingers. Here it is crushed. The ash pills in his closed left hand. He takes a pill over to his right hand. Goldie sits to the left and follows intently. But is it a miracle that we are witnessing? Or sleight of hand camouflaged by a handkerchief? Here one sees the ash pill between his fingers. And here it is crushed. They are totally mentally disarmed. They don't notice his hands.
Scientists may believe that their guru can suspend the law of physics at whim.
This footage is from Doordarshan, India's national TV channel. India had only one channel in those days. It was over 20 years back. And to appear on that channel at 9 o'clock news was a great achievement for India. They wanted to project this Sai Baba on the news at that time, before the whole nation, producing a gold chain from thin air, in the presence of the then Prime Minister of India. But of course, like all things can go wrong, this too went wrong. Just check on it.
But skeptics are now questioning the evidence. This video of Sai Baba is now being circulated secretly in India. It appears to show the God-man using a stage magician's trick to produce a gold necklace for a distinguished guest. Just before he hands over an award, his fingers seem to be searching for something underneath the wooden box. He then draws back his hand, waves it around, and the necklace appears as if from thin air. The event was witnessed by India's Prime Minister and recorded by the state-controlled Indian television network. But after an editor drew attention to the apparent trickery, this footage was not broadcast. Among
So here you saw it. This was done in the presence of elected representatives who would represent more than the population of Europe and America put together. The Prime Minister of India. And there was the Chief Minister of a state. And imagine the degree of idiocy of our people, that they would believe that this was a miracle. Of course, they believed it was a miracle, but the TV cameras do not have any such beliefs, so the TV camera showed the reality. And the footage was destroyed, but we smuggled it out. I don't know who that we stands for, but lots of us have it. And somebody said it's being secretly shown in India. No, that's very, very wrong. It's not being secretly shown in India, it's being openly shown in India. We are just not bothered about it. But now, you skeptics, you will never believe what we say. So, what will be your next thing? You are saying that he's a fraud. Well, you give us a chain from thin air and show me, right? Now, I need a big, what do you call it, a memento. And I didn't bring the award that was given to me. Otherwise I could have used that. And I need some helper. Anybody is going to help me? No, nobody. So I have to do it all alone. I have to depend on God above and Satan below to do it. So both my hands are empty. There is nothing here. I just take my empty hand like this, and I just empty my other empty hand over this. Here I get a gold chain. Oh, sorry, it's not gold. It's pretty bad metal. It's rolled gold or something like that. You see, as we say in India, when the God gives to rich people, he will give golden things. But to a poor man like me, he gives only one chain. Okay? Here it is. This is what we call as a skin-colored plastic thumb. I can put a little object into this. Keep on talking to you. And when I keep on talking to you, you're watching my face. That's what they do when they go to Puttaparthi, or that's what they used to do when they used to go to Puttaparthi to see this guy. Of course, now they're no longer because he's dead. And his dead body is buried under tons of concrete so that he'll not come out alive. He may break out of the concrete and come out like Superman. Anyway, I put it, I keep on talking, saying that my hands are empty. This hand is empty, so is this. But inverted, and when you look at this, just do a half a turn. And I'm not a very good magician either. I'm not good, but I'm better than that guy. You know why we learn these things? It's because the common man in India, you can get into a debate about God and supernatural and everything. And finally, when the debate is over, that man or that woman will ask, okay, I agree that there is no God, but what about our Sai Baba? He gives vibhuti from thin air. How does he do that? So I have to show him how that's done. So that's why we learn these things, so that we demystify these miracles. We show that these guys are just empty, and we train thousands of people to do this because that's the easiest way you can get across to the man on the street that these miracles are just magic tricks. Now, when I said man on the street, don't think it is just the ordinary citizen of India who goes after such God men. I can show you some video footage next about really powerful guys talking about this man and describing their experience. Some of these people at that time would be president, but now he's only would have been president. There's a guy called T.N. Sheshan, and then there's a professor of civil engineering at the top Indian Institute of Science, which is a renowned institute known well over the world for researches in so many subjects. I think the next one is not very important. I'll go to the one after that. Somebody will take this operation and tell me what is happening.
The skeptics are not just worried about the guru's political end. T.N. Sheshan is one of the most powerful men in India. He is Chief Electoral Commissioner and has been tipped as a future president. He is also one of Sai Baba's most conspicuous devotees.
I went to Sai Baba last week, and he gave me this ring out of nowhere. Consists of 9 gems. There's a ruby in it, there's a pearl in it, there's a sapphire in it, there is an emerald in it, there's a diamond in it. God knows what else, 9 stones. And he realized this for me out of nowhere, and now I can touch it, I can pull it. Now you will say, I don't believe this, but it happened to me personally. And I am not a jungly kind of person. I've got a master's degree in physics, I've got a master's degree in administration and economics from Harvard. I find the contradiction between the physics and the fact that I believe that this came out of the blue.
Professional scientists do little to challenge such beliefs. This Sai Baba shrine in Bangalore, the centre of Indian science and technology, attracts professors from national research institutions Experts in engineering, aeronautics and geology gather to worship a man they believe has superhuman powers.
People can be a little divine, they can be extraordinarily divine. And he is one such incarnation. We consider him divine. There is no question about it. I have been a scientist, I was a non-believer in Sai Baba himself. But today, I am an absolutely firm believer. I have seen things happen right before my eyes. And the ring I am wearing here in my perhaps picture, it was materialized, it was created by Sai Baba, just by a wave of his hand. And to prove that there is no hide and seek in this, at one point of time when he produces a lot of this vibhuti, as we call it, or the ash, the white ash that you see. In Puttaparthi, where I went for the first time to meet him, what he did was, he asked me whether I am going to use this vibhuti. Then I said yes. Then he gave it to me. He materialized, once again by a small wave of his hands. He circles his hand like this, and these things appear in his hand, and he gives it to me. Just to make me believe, because I am a scientist skeptical about this.
Once, I was at a national science congress, and there were two ministers on this stage. I gave one of them, showed one of them a gold chain, and not the gold chain, but one chain. And he took it and I said, give it back. Because he said, why? I said, I want it for the next program. Because I give thousands of these demonstrations and I can't afford to buy a chain every time I do one. Then for the other guy, I gave him ash. Then they said, hey, you are talking to ministers. You know how you talk to ministers? I said, yes, I know how one should talk to ministers. Because it's said in Hindi, आप मंत्री से बात कर रहे हैं, कुछ काम की बात कीजिए. That means that doesn't translate well into English. So I said, oh Mantri ji, I bow before you. I said, namaste. And then I waved my hands in the air like this. And as I kept waving my hands in the air like this, what happened was I got a brand new currency note from India into my hands. And I said, please take this, because when a minister says, talk to me, it means give him money. Oh yes. When we Indians ask for money from heaven, they don't give us euros or dollars or pounds. They give me Indian rupees. 100 rupees. That
We don't go
yes.
bundles of bills. Is it
Right.
illegal to make money then?
Let's come back to this. This shows us what we call as sleight of hand. Principle of sleight of hand is not sleight of hand actually, it's sleight of the tongue. Because when you speak, you look at somebody's face, you don't want the hand. Hold this not keep it in the hand like this, keep on talking. And then rotate your hands in the air, and when you are doing it, remove the folds of the note one by one, and it looks like the note came from the yes. So this is something we do to astonish the people. When we start our program of going to the people, exposing the God-man, the best way to do it is do it yourself. Because any amount of explanations you give are not convincing as performing it and then explaining it. More convincing would be get it done by that person himself. Of course, I forgot to bring some of the things that I would ask you to do, like maybe burning things on the tongue, putting fire on the body, but or walking on coals. Perhaps it would take a lot of organization. Now, coming back to this, don't think that the Indian godmen are pretty harmless, giving these trinkets and maybe vibhuti, or maybe praying for you, or maybe doing pujas for you. They poke their nose into every part of your life. Every part of your life. You won't believe it. Next, I will show you one godman who's an authority on alternative medicine. Because the number of trackeries that he talks about would astonish even an encyclopedia of alternative medicine. Because so many things. But listen to him. very, very interesting guy. And I heard that this year he has submitted an application for starting a medical college, medical university. Of course, that medical university won't teach this quackery because nobody is going to come. It has to teach only the conventional medicine, I mean the scientific medicine that we all talk about. Watch this guy and just find out how dangerous these godmen are.
The skeptics are not just worried about the guru's political influence, they fear they may also be doing medical harm. This Swami dresses in pink silk and offers healing to his patients by playing classical ragas on a Japanese synthesizer.
It gives energy and also calm and also heals also.
To diagnose cancer, heart disease and AIDS, he uses a collection of crystals which, he says, emit rays of light only visible to his eye. The crystals tell him the disease patients are suffering from. He treats them with a touch from his crystals and by having them listen to his music.
This crystal shows colors and which row sits, people sitting. They shows different colors and vibrating like a small bulb. So then very easy to recognize, oh, how many lights, the blue lights, oh, 12 lights. Today, 12 cancer patients sitting in this hall. So then I will announce, in this gathering today, 14-member cancer patients, 12-member heart patients, please stand up. Then Swami is calling and then giving advice, please change your doctor. Or you can go ahead, only this medicine, continue this medicine. And you are wrong diagnosed, please come near me, then I will give to something to you. And Swami is recommending this particular raga in this moment, you can listen half an hour, and then Swami is giving some healing stones also.
The Swami then surprised the film crew by materializing a trinket from the bottom of his favorite crystal.
This for you. The coral Ganapati is not magic, but it's only token like a chocolate.
It's charming, and it's an illusion.
Would you believe this? But this man is taken very, very seriously by quite a lot of people. He stays at a place called Mysore. I do not know whether you know this place, but it's very famous for palaces and very good historical structures. And nearby Mysore, there's a place called Bangalore. Everybody has heard of it. There's even a term called Bangalore. Right? One of my friends was building a house in Bangalore, and when his person was building his house, the contractor, wanted copies of this CD from me. I asked him why. He said his wife had cancer, and she went to this guy, took his treatment. She was listening to his music 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, and then, of course, she died in 3 months. And she had kept huge flex prints of this guy, man-sized prints, in the house all over. So when the body was being taken, he threw them on the road, poured petrol on them, gasoline, and set them alight, and he made hundreds of copies of the CD and distributed to all his friends and relatives and told them, while my wife died because of this man, please see that nobody from your family goes to this guy for me. It's a tragic thing that such things happen in a country, where even people who have got access to medical facilities would rather go to a quack like this. And there are people who do not have access to medical facilities, and they would go to quacks like this, and I will show you how such quacks operate in the next video sequence which we shot channel, and I think most of you would have seen a part of it, but not all of it. This is called a Tricks of Indian Godmen Revealed, and I think it's on YouTube and so many other places. This is what we shot for Discovery Channel 13 years ago.
The bed of nails originated in India, a land where even stranger phenomena still happen today. It's near the end of the monsoon period in southern India, and crossing the lush green landscape in the intense heat and humidity is a small minibus with an ominous cargo on board. It's heading towards an isolated village. One of the men it's carrying has extraordinary powers. He's dressed as a guru, or god-man, and inevitably the local villagers respectfully bow down at his feet. With his bodyguards at his side, he's about to demonstrate his magical, supernatural powers of healing. But such magic costs money, and these people will have to pay. First, he makes holy ash out of thin air and distributes it to the faithful. Next, he uses his powers to make a banknote from nothing and simply gives it away. Then it's holy water. It must be holy, because
Here you will be seeing quite a few things which I have not been able to do here because of limitations of time, and the other thing is limitation of transporting those things from India to here, because I am not allowed to get some of these chemicals and all on board.
even when the jug is empty, the god-man simply blesses it and makes some more. Such miracles naturally impress everybody, but one man is particularly interested, especially in what happens
That's not me, it's my brother. Crazy guy.
A young woman, obviously very distressed, is brought forward to see the god-man. Her parents explain that they're desperately hoping that the man who can perform such miracles will be able to heal their daughter. She's apparently possessed by an evil spirit, a term used in these parts to describe what others might regard as a physical or mental illness. Using his supernatural powers, the god-man draws the evil spirit out of the woman's body and puts it into a coconut. The coconut, now possessed by the evil spirit, starts to shake and roll. The god-man then moves the evil spirit into another coconut and pours magical water on it. The evil spirit is destroyed by fire, and breaking the coconut reveals blood. now released from the
When you burn a spirit with fire, you destroy it, it breaks into pieces, and the blood which is inside the spirit comes out. That is the blood which you are going to see now.
terrible affliction, the young woman collapses. The villagers are even more impressed. But naturally, miracles of this kind come at a price, and the godman's assistant steps forward to arrange suitable payment. The stranger denounces them all as charlatans and reveals the evil spirit that so moved the coconut. A mouse. In fact, the godman is not what he seems either. He's a bank manager. And half an hour earlier, he was putting on his costume alongside the supposed stranger, who's part of the same group. Meanwhile, the evil spirit was being placed in the coconut with suitable air holes. The purpose of the whole show is to educate the villagers into the ways of trickster godmen. And while the final makeup was being applied, a final coconut was being prepared by inserting a piece of potassium into the tufts. The addition of some water and a little overacting would ensure a dramatic display. As for the everlasting holy water, the jug has secret side panels. A small air hole on one side, covered by a thumb, releases water from the panels and refills the jug. The young woman is in fact perfectly healthy. She and her supposed parents are all part of the same team.
The whole thing was a drama, to educate the villagers about how these godmen take them for a ride. And one part of it was not a drama. And you know what was that? The reaction of the villagers to this godman. There was no performance. It was a genuine devotion to a godman which they showed. They were not even told that something like this is going to happen. They were just told that some godman is going to come to the village and somebody is going to shoot it. And they really thought that the godman was a real godman, I mean not a phony one who was a part of our troop. And the way they fell at his feet and the way they worshipped him shows that. This is a tragedy of a nation which is brainwashed from a very, very young age into believing such things, wearing the saffron, you wear something like that. Actually, one of our compatriots came here dressed like that, and he calls himself Swami Manavata, or what also. I do not know whether he would like to exploit this respect that people have for the name Swami or for the dress. Anyway, there have been a lot of arguments about it going on. Anyway, he has come. But this man dressed in saffron is one of the symbols that make people believe in him, that he must be having some supernatural powers. And none of the villagers could find out any of the tricks because they were just not tuned to it. They were all thinking that it is a real woman being exorcised of the spirit and all that. Now, there are some godmen who claim that they can resist pain because they have got the power of God and they can bless their devotees and make them impervious to pain. I'll show you some little bit of footage which may be distressing to some of you because your sensibilities are slightly different. But I think you can put up with it. It's not all that bad.
They'll pay, as long as you understand what's happening and willingly accept it. The fact that it's possible to perform extraordinary physical feats without the aid of miracles is something the team demonstrates to the students of a local university. 2 of these men are going to attempt something which, on the face of it, seems impossible. They're going to try to pull a car. Nothing miraculous about that. But the difference is that they hope to do it with ropes attached to hooks pierced through the skin of their backs. To prevent infection, antiseptic is applied to clean the metal and the skin. They have to work hard to get the hooks in.
It's real.
Many who witness these extraordinary demonstrations believe that it's only possible because the gods have intervened to protect the fragile human bodies.
I don't think such a thing would be allowed in India.
But it's no miracle. This amazing physical feat is possible because our bodies are much stronger than many of us realize. The skin on the back is particularly thick and is very tough and durable. There are slightly fewer nerves here, and the intense excitement of the occasion raises adrenaline levels in the blood. This reduces both bleeding and the awareness of pain. Although it might all seem a little grotesque, the idea is to convince the students that you don't have to be a godman or need a miracle to do this. Likewise, anybody can walk on broken glass, just like a godman, as long as you don't let your feet slip. And they learn that walking on nails is easy, as long as there are lots of them packed closely together. Should you want to stand on sword blades, no problem, as long as you don't slide your feet around. In exposing all this trickery, they could be accused of destroying people's religious beliefs. But Narendra has no objections to religion itself.
What I am objecting to is primarily exploitation in the name of religion and in the name of religious beliefs and spreading superstitions among the people. I think it's a pretty tricky statement because they wanted something very, very neutral. I said, okay, I'll talk something very, very neutral. I have no objections to religion. My only objections are exploitation in the name of religion and spreading superstition among the people. And if you remove these two from religion, there will be nothing. Because they wanted me, oh no, don't attack religion. I said, no, definitely I am not attack religion, but I'll say something about religion which is absolutely neutral, and this was what I said.
The men who do this receive no special training.
Now,
You want a Bhairavana?
this particular ritual, passing the hook through the skin of the back and hanging a person is done in Kerala, near Kerala, Tamil Nadu border, where if the father of a boy, child, hold the child baby in his hands, puts the hooks through the skin of his back and hangs in front of the deity, thanking the deity for having given him a boy child. Because a boy child is very, very important for the Indian name. Do you know why? Not because he wants to propagate his DNA, because 50% of his DNA would go even into a girl. But only the boy can send his father's soul to heaven. Yes. That's why they're very keen on having a boy child. Yes. And you not only send the soul to heaven, every year you perform a ritual to give them water, to give them food. And how do you do that? No ordinary person can transport that food or water to heaven. You require a special messenger for that. And that messenger is a Brahmin, a priest, who is at the top of the caste hierarchy. And about 1,900 years back, when an apostle of Jesus Christ, one of the apostles, St. Thomas, he came to Kerala. He came during, if there's a particular season. You can't send food and water to your Father in heaven at any time of the year. You have to do it only at particular times. And that too, through a particular person. Everything is fixed. So this St. Thomas came to Kerala during the particular time of the year when they were offering water and food to their parents. No, naturally the food would be, what do you eat? You eat all sorts of things. But our people eat only rice. So a bowl of rice and then pure water taken in a cup, something, and thrown up into the air. I won't throw all of this and spoil the carpet, I throw it in between. I throw it up into the air with the incantation, may this go to my Father in heaven. What happens? It comes down. And when St. Thomas saw it, he told them, hey guys, you're foolish. You're throwing the water up and it's coming down. It's not reaching your parents' father. They won't bother much about the mother because she'll get a share of what the father gets. Yeah. They're thirsty. They're starving. They went to our Christian God and asked him, well, we want something. And our Christian God gave them a vessel. Beautiful vessel. So I don't know whether this material was there in those days. But he said, what you do is, you take water, pour it into this, and do your incantations and say, I don't know, sometimes accidents may happen. So may this water go to my Father in heaven. Oh, it's not going. Well, something must be wrong. I tell you what's wrong. My father died in 2006. And when he died, I was at a place about 2,000 kilometers away conducting a training program for some of our residents. And, I'm the only resource person. So when they heard that my father died, they said, are you going back to your place? I said, no. He said, why not? I said, if my father comes back to life after, if I go, I will go back. He won't come back to life obviously. So there's no point in me going there, so I didn't go. And a good Hindu sends his father to heaven after 12 days after the death by feeding the Brahmins, giving them a very good lunch, and then giving them money, and also giving them things for the father's journey to heaven, like umbrellas, chappals, clothes, everything. I didn't do that. So my father hasn't reached heaven, and that is why the water has not gone to heaven. It came down here. Right? Yes. Because, they told me, oh, what sort of a son are you? You could have at least done a third-class ceremony for your father. I said, what is this first class, second class, and third class? He said, first class means 10,000 rupees and above. I said, what is that above? He said, no limit. It's up to you. Then I said, what is the second class? This second class, they said, is 5,000 rupees, maybe 500 krona. Not so. Then I said, what is third class? They said, 3,000 rupees, which is about 300 krona. Useless. I didn't even do that. If you do a first class thing, your father would go to heaven on an aeroplane, first class. If you do it by second class, they'll send you by train, express train. If you do it by third class, We'll have to go by an ordinary train. And if you don't do it, your father will have to walk all the way to heaven. And probably my father hasn't reached there as yet. But let me try with my mother. She died in 1995. I did not do anything to send her to heaven. But now, as a good son, let me try to send water to my mother. Maybe she'll give my father a little bit of it. So I pour the water into this so that accidents do not happen. Sometimes it doesn't go to my mother. So, but you can see whether it goes to my mother because it's pretty transparent, right? So may this water go to my mother in heaven. Yes. There it goes. So, my mother is happy. I keep sending her water, I keep sending her food, I keep sending her clothes and everything to the grandmas. So I'll show you how a very simple, stupid thing like this can be used to project a superstition or a miracle or a physical feat. Because I use this vessel to drink nitric acid, concentrated nitric acid. I have not used this vessel exactly but something else like this. But you can do so many things with this. This vessel is called as Q-Con, F-U-K-O-N. And it's a Chinese vessel, like the Chinese export all their things all over the world, they export this too. You pour water in this and bend it this way, the water comes out. If you bend it this way, the water stays in. And if you bend it a little bit like this, little by little it comes out. So, oh, my time is up, I saw. But I give you copies of the CD. There are so many 13 sequences in that I will not be able to show you. But I think you can take copies of this. And I think I've got 35 copies of the CD. And you can see all fantastic things in it. Dipping my hands into boiling oil, removing fried things from boiling oil with my bare hands, walking on fire, and so many other things that we need to do to convince the people of our land that you don't need to be godman to do any of these things, which is something which any ordinary person can do if you understand or not the principles of science. Because when I was an atheist at the age of 11. And as I grew up, I said, I don't believe it. How does Sai Baba give you good? He does like this, like this. Do it. Do it and show me. I don't know. So how does somebody walk on fire? I said, Levin Frost effect. I think he was a Dutch physicist who explained how you can walk on fire. He said, okay, walk. You don't have the courage to do it. So that's why I was supposed to learn all these things so that I can convince the man on the street that you don't need any supernatural powers to do any of these things. So that is what I would like to present before you. This campaign is not enough that I do it. I've trained thousands of people to do it because one man can't do it. Now we are going to train people in Nepal. Because Nepal too is a country like ours with all the super system. Now this boy from Sri Lanka wants us to join him. And since I'm getting older, I'm 60 years old, so that I think that maybe it's time for me to take some rest. But I do not know whether these people will allow me to do that. Anyway, I'll give you copies of the CD, and questions are welcome. And I usually give this CD in India about 25 rupees, which in terms of kroner is